The exact moment Daniel Carter realized he had missed his flight was when his phone buzzed with the final boarding alert as the departure gate door slid shut right in front of him. He was left standing there, frozen, exhausted, and defeated. That flight was supposed to get him home to his daughter after 3 straight weeks of night shifts and overtime. Now, the terminal noise faded into a dull hum as he leaned against the wall, wondering how many disappointments one man could absorb before something inside finally cracked. It was in that moment of quiet frustration that he noticed her. She was sitting on the cold airport floor near a closed coffee kiosk, a woman wrapped in a thin, worn coat. Her hair was messy, but her posture was proud, her eyes distant yet alert. When their eyes met, she didn't ask for money or sympathy. She simply offered a tired smile that carried more dignity than most of the people rushing past. Daniel would have walked away like everyone else if she had softly asked if he knew what time it was. That simple question turned into a conversation, then into a confession. Her name was Alina. She had once worked in hospitality, but a bad relationship and worse luck had cost her everything. Tonight, she had nowhere safe to go. Daniel, a single father who had spent years teaching his daughter that kindness mattered more than comfort, found himself listening, really listening, when the next available flight was announced, reminding him that he was stranded anyway. He did something that shocked them both. He offered her the spare key to his small apartment near the airport. He told her she could shower, sleep, and leave whenever she felt safe. His daughter would be with her grandmother, and he expected nothing. He just said that sometimes help doesn't need a reason. When she finally accepted, her hands trembled not with fear, but with relief. The next morning, Daniel returned, expecting an empty apartment. Instead, he found breakfast cooking, the place cleaner than it had been in years, and Elena standing there, dressed neatly, no longer invisible. She had already lined up an interview using the address he gave her. Daniel believed the story should have ended there, with gratitude and quiet hope. But life rarely allows kindness to remain uncomplicated. The past arrived without warning. A black sedan parked too long across the street, an unfamiliar man asking questions at the building office. Then, a knock at the door one evening that made Elena freeze, her face draining of color. The truth Daniel hadn't heard was heavier than homelessness. Elena hadn't just lost her life to bad luck. She had disappeared to survive. The trust fund tied up in legal battles wasn't modest. At all it was massive, connected to a family business, entangled in fraud and violent power struggles. When Elena refused to sign documents that would have made powerful men richer, she became a liability. The streets were the only place she could vanish. Now, because she had used Daniel's address to rebuild, those men had found her. When Elena finally told him everything, offering to disappear again so he and his child would be safe, Daniel made a decision that surprised even himself. He refused to teach his daughter that kindness should end when it becomes inconvenient. Instead of running, they fought back. Together with an attorney, they brought investigators into the truth Elena had carried alone for years. The weeks that followed were filled with tension and sleepless nights. But something unexpected happened. The same integrity that had drawn Elena out of hiding began drawing allies out of silence. When the case finally broke open, Daniel understood that courage doesn't always look like heroism. Sometimes, it looks like staying when leaving would be easier. But standing up to powerful people costs more than fear. It costs normalcy. Daniel's hours at work was suddenly reduced. Whispers followed him. His daughter asked why some parents no longer met his eyes at school. One night, Elena told Daniel she was thinking of leaving. She finally had resources, protection, and she didn't want her past to keep costing him and his child their peace. Daniel listened, and when he finally spoke, he simply told her the truth. That fear had already taken enough from him, and he wouldn't let it take her too. He wanted his daughter to remember that when things got complicated, he didn't send kindness away. In that moment, Elena broke down in a way she never had on the streets or in courtrooms. Because being allowed to stay is sometimes harder than being forced to run. They rebuild slowly, with counseling, difficult conversations, and patience. One afternoon, Daniel realized laughter had returned to the apartment. His daughter no longer asked if people were going to leave. Years later, Daniel would still think about that missed flight. Not with regret, but with gratitude. Life hadn't changed all at once. It changed in small, steady ways. He realized the journey that mattered most had begun on the ground, in an airport terminal, with a man who stayed still long enough to see another human being Sometimes missing what you planned is the only way to arrive where you belong. And sometimes, the key you give away opens the door you didn't even know you were standing in front of. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the power of human connection.